Bismillāh ir-Raḥmān. Welcome back. I'm your host, Rebecca Ann, the Neurospicy Revert. If you've been following my story, you know that when I got to College Station and then to San Antonio, I finally thought I'd found it. Stability, softness, a life that finally made sense. Not perfect, not simple, but mine. And for a long time, that life had a name. Will. For a while, he was the first man who saw every version of me, the broken, the hopeful, the fighter, and he didn't flinch. This episode is about that season, how good it really was, how messy it really got, and how it all quietly cracked apart, 1 inch at a time. Before we go any further, I do want to say this episode includes references to emotional manipulation, poly-style dynamics, workplace sexism, police harassment, incarceration, and the unraveling of a relationship that once felt like home. There are also mentions of sexual situations, though nothing explicit. If you're in a confusing relationship right now or carrying fresh heartbreak, please listen gently. Take breaks if you need to. You're not alone. Everything shared in this episode reflects my personal experiences, memories, and perspectives. All events are described to the best of my recollection and supported by documented evidence where applicable. Some names, timelines, or identifying details may be adjusted for privacy and safety. From August 2018 to February 14th, 2020, my life didn't look traditional, but for the first time in years, it felt soft. I was a single mom of 3, balancing work, trauma, toxic co-parenting, and a relationship that didn't have a clean label. But inside, it fit. It let me breathe. Will had what he called his camps: a wife, a girlfriend, a mistress, and a mysterious A who appeared and disappeared like a bad Wi-Fi signal, all in the San Antonio area. Most people would have run. I just adapted. Because back then, I didn't know the difference between chemistry and chaos. Crystal, the mistress, treated life like a personal audition for Pretty Little Liars. Fake numbers, fake screenshots, anonymous text messages, drama designed to make Will continually save her. And she was good at it. Scary good. But despite it all, I was Daddy's favorite. The one who didn't ask for money, the one who wasn't chasing drama, the one who stayed grounded. So I built my life, quietly, steadily, growing into a woman I barely recognized. At American Freight, I was promised the assistant manager role of San Antonio's first store, if I moved to San Antonio. So I did. Then I was told the manager role of the new location. And then suddenly, I was not ready. Meanwhile, men who couldn't even run the register were being handed titles I was already doing the work for. I built an entire store from scratch. Shelving, layout, training, stocking, and then watched them give my position to someone who needed my help to do the basics. The day they made it official, I walked out. Chin up, middle finger raised, no regrets. And through all of that, Will showed up in the ways he could. Not perfect, not wealthy, but consistent enough to feel like safety. The moment I'll never forget, I asked him to drop off some furniture I had ordered while I picked up the kids in East Texas. I expected boxes. I came home to a home. Kitchen table assembled, sectional put together, bunk bed built. Everything ready for the chaos of 3 kids. He didn't just deliver furniture, he created a life. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't just sex. This was us. But that high didn't last long because Crystal hated me. Like, actually hated me. Not because of anything I did, but because I became his favorite, took time away from her, and refused to play her games. When the A-like texts got uglier, more targeted, more manipulative, I was done. So I did what any resourceful, exhausted, fed up woman with an internet connection and a trauma degree in survival would do. I hired a hacker off the dark web. They set up a trap link, and I replied to one of her anonymous texts. When she clicked the link, like I knew she would, we got her IP. I took it immediately to the police. During their investigation, they found the IP belonged to her, and she was picked up on active warrants out of corpus. I was ready to press every charge: harassment, cyberstalking, all of it. But Will asked me not to, because he was a good man with a broken picker, and absolutely determined to believe his woman wouldn't turn on him anymore. Spoiler, Crystal was the problem, not the universe. But because I loved him, and because trauma had trained me to keep the peace at my own expense, I never pursued the charges, trying to be Daddy's good girl. Will wanted harmony so badly, he even tried to create a throuple. It was doomed from the beginning. Crystal still hated me, and I was so desperate to please him that it turned into the kind of chaos you find on the amateur section of Pornhub. We're not going to go into graphic details because this is testimony, not porn, but 50 Shades looked like Sunday school compared to the nonsense we were doing. I said yes to things I would never say yes to again, and eventually, as predicted, Crystal spiraled out. Again. And the whole thing imploded. Will got colder, tired, overwhelmed, and then business started to pick up, and life steadied on the outside. But inside, the ground was shifting. Will had been visiting his daughters in South Texas, and on his way home he picked up some Adderall while in Mexico. He had a legal prescription, valid paperwork, but he didn't have the physical prescription on him. Driving while black in Texas is already a risk. Driving near a border town makes it even worse. A trooper pulled him over, claiming he stayed in the outside lane too long. Dashcam later proved he hadn't. They searched his car, found the pills, and arrested him for narcotics. He was bailed out. We hired an attorney and got the case dropped. But because he was still on probation for an old weed charge in College Station, they revoked him anyway, even though the case was dismissed. Then, instead of correcting it, when we proved the arrest was invalid and the prescription was valid, they reached back 4 years and said, "Remember that second drug test you failed at the beginning? Yeah, we're going to go ahead and use that now." And they sought to sentence him to the remaining 4 years of his sentence in state prison. A system working exactly as designed. Heartbreak isn't always loud. Sometimes it's slow. He told me on February 14th, 2020, under I-35 on the way to get ice, "I could spend every day of the rest of my life with you." And the second those words left his mouth, something shifted behind his eyes. He realized I reminded him of Jennifer, the one woman who broke him clean in half, and he had sworn never to feel that vulnerable again. So he pulled back, not all at once, inches at times. Now that I know I'm autistic, I understand why this damn near unhinged my soul. We don't do sudden emotional shifts. We don't know how to file them. Quiet withdrawal is not just life for us. It's disorienting. He didn't leave dramatically. He faded, and I froze. It wasn't the end that broke me. It was the way it ended. The slowness, the uncertainty, the way it hollowed me out inch by inch. He didn't do it to be cruel. He did it because he was terrified of loving me enough to be hurt again. But fear doesn't soften heartbreak. It just makes it quieter. From April of 2020 through November that year, life almost felt normal again because business picked up, money steadied, and for a minute it felt like we were finding our rhythm, laughing again, moving like a team again, slipping back into us like the world had finally stopped spinning. His attorney kept reassuring us that everything would work out. The probation revocation never should have happened in the first place, and that once they dropped charges in Georgetown and the paper were laid out, College Station's judge would almost certainly reinstate him. We let ourselves believe it, not because we were naive, but because for the first time in a long time, hope didn't feel dangerous. On November 16th, 2020, we stood in his backyard and tried to make sense of the impossible. He gave me an opal ring. We used one of our play ties and bound our hands together. We hand-fasted, right there under the Texas sky. No courthouse, no pastor, no imam, just two people terrified of losing each other. He asked me to wait, to run his business, to help his wife, to hold his world together. And because of where I was in life, I said yes. The next day, November 17th, Brazos County ruled in favor of the prosecution, and after placing him in handcuffs, led him out of the courtroom. And I stared into a future I never saw coming. When he went in, I didn't turn to Allah. I turned to power, or at least what I thought was power. Something about awakening that inner goddess strength in me pulled me towards people who spoke that same language, people who made chaos feel mystical and survival look spiritual. That's how I found Flor and Dia. And that connection pulled me toward altars and candle magic, and eventually they became my sisters and my first coven. I didn't realize it yet, but even in my detours, Allah was already calling me home. There are loves that break you, loves that build you, and loves that teach you exactly who you are. Will was all three. When he pulled away, I didn't collapse, but I wobbled. And eventually, piece by piece, I chose myself. Healing doesn't erase the past. It teaches you how to stop repeating it. Join me next week as we rewind just a bit and step deeper into the witchcraft chapter. Flor, Dia, altars, candle magic, manifestation, and the part of my story where the desire for control nearly pulled me further from Allah before it led me straight back to Him. With endless dua and gratitude, I'm Rebecca Ann, the Neurospicy Revert. Until next time, stay soft where the world tried to make you hard.